Hello, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett here. I swear this camera gets dirty all the time. There we go. Um, it is May 8th, 8:07 a.m. 53 minutes before I have to start work, and um, it is like right at 61 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity. Um, we do watch that kind of carefully because it really affects my wife's business. She does a lot of epoxy, and epoxy takes a very, very long time to cure when the humidity is high. So that is something that really affects her. And it does sort of make it kind of like what she does more of an art than a science, because like the way, like, she can make certain things look a certain way when it's 100% humidity that she cannot make look that way when it's, let's say, 10% humidity, because the time that it takes. It's especially obvious, like I was watching her yesterday, and it's especially obvious when you're doing alcohol inks and stuff like that. The way they spread changes based on the humidity. And I think that there's a lot of that sort of art that also goes with software development. There's just like certain things that you can do at certain times under certain conditions that you can't do at other times under other conditions, and that stuff isn't really well documented. Um, like a website that has, or an application that has 1,000 lines of code is very, very different than an application that has 10,000 lines of code. And what you need to do might be easier or harder depending on, how it's been optimized. And so, that's just sort of the nature of things. Things are not as straightforward as you would generally think. And at least in the American educational system, they really do try to sort of convince you that everything can be easily sort of diluted or boiled down to like a basic foundational set of rules that you can just operate on, and then everyone can just do it from there. And that's probably one of the very first things that, either like, if you, by nature, some people are just super rebellious and they're just never going to believe the system when the system tries to convince them of something like that. And then other people, like, it takes them several years to realize, oh man, I can't just go look in a book and see that, oh, in Agile it says I need an accelerator because I need things to go faster, and so all I need to do is this and that. Eventually you realize that, I don't know, I guess it was summed up best in um, Forrest Gump when he says, stupid is as stupid does. It's just like, if you do something and it's stupid, it's stupid. If you do something and it's smart, it's smart. It's not what it says in a book. And I guess that a different way of putting it is being result orientated. You care about the results. You don't necessarily care about, like, I'm not going to say I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust the results. Or some people will say, I believe my eyes more than I believe my ears. Like, that's another way of saying, like, what I see happening is more important to me than what I hear is going to happen. So anyways, but then, that isn't always 100% true. Sometimes there is a set of procedures that you need to follow to do certain things, and trying to sort of figure out when you're in one situation is different than other situations. But one thing I do know is that Rhett likes nuts. So let's get Rhett her nut. We got her an almond this morning. I think the last few days I've been, like, maybe last week I was giving her peanuts, which are not nuts, apparently. They are legumes. And there you go, Rhett. There's your nut. It's down there. She can't see it, I think. It's right over here. See, look. There you go. Anyways, so The other thing that was really weighing on my mind was how like we I have worked at places where we had to make our code 508 compliant before. And 508 compliant means is a synonym for accessible. And accessible is specific to people with handicaps. Now the problem is that there's literally, if you have, there's probably literally, I'm not even over exaggerating, there's probably like 200 or 300 million different kinds of handicaps. And all these different handicaps, some of them are like literally direct inverses of each other. Like some people like have like where they can't see in a narrow area, so everything has to be super wide for them. But then there's other people who can only see in a narrow area, so everything has to be, there has to be a way to make things very collapsed for them and all that. But I think at this point we mostly focus on screen readers, so something that would somebody would like that primarily for blind people to be able to use the website, which, to be, if we're being completely honest, this is probably not a website that would be of interest to blind people. Yesterday we found a good friend of mine posted on LinkedIn a website that does dad jokes, and that was hilarious. And obviously that is something that someone who's blind would probably enjoy, like the screen reader, it's probably actually a better experience to experience a dad joke generator from a screen reader than it is reading, because a lot of it is, especially in that robotic voice, it'd probably be freaking hilarious. But the other thing is, a lot of people are like very constrained when they're working on things and they need to use the keyboard and all that. And historically, I've had to build things to work for screen readers and for keyboards, and it's extraordinarily challenging. And typically, like in my personal experience, when I've had to do that, one, it's been very difficult because I had to retrofit it into existing applications, and that can be very challenging based on like the way they have their styles and all that. But two, if you I forgot it, I've lost my train of thought, but basically it's challenging, and like there's a lot of DOM elements that are, two, it generally takes me a couple weeks. And yesterday I was like just digging in, like, oh man, we are gonna have, and this is a couple weeks at 8 hours a day. Oh man, well, this is gonna take forever. And yesterday I did like a 30-minute thing, and in the last half of the video I realized, oh crap, I need to do this. Oh man, this is gonna take forever. And then we had it almost completely done, and that was with ChatGPT. So then it's just like, man, is it really gonna get rid of our jobs? ChatGPT as computer programmers. But then I remember, like, we have a business here in the United States that's very, very popular called Harbor Freight Tools. And Harbor Freight Tools, you can buy like any kind of tool you want, or lots and lots of tools, like, and very low prices. And the thing is, and I have heard rumors that Harbor Freight Tool isn't really a tool company, that it is actually a logistics company, and that the retail business is just there as a proof of concept. And that's why like a lot of their prices and stuff just make no sense at all, because they are actually more focused on proving the logistics, that their logistics software works, not in actually selling tools. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. It's a great story, whether it's true or not. And I also used to work with a guy who, he never told me this, but I used to work next to this dude who went to MIT for undergraduate, and then he went to Georgia Tech and got his PhD in artificial intelligence. And we used to just sit right next to each other. And he's probably, there's like a handful of people that are just a lot smarter than me that I've met, and he's one of them. Like, there's people that are smarter than me. I've met a lot of people that are smarter than me, but then there's just a few people I've met that were just like so much smarter than me that, like, if I put the five of them in a room, I can't tell who's smarter. Like, when someone's a lot smarter than you, you can't really tell. It's like if you're 5 feet tall and you're looking at someone who's 8 feet tall and another one who's 8 foot 1 inch and another one who's 7 foot 11 inches. You can't really tell who's taller because they are just all really tall to you. That's kind of how these people were. He's one of those people, but he told me that he created a brain from Harbor Freight Tool pallets. So every pallet was a neuron in a brain, and that it could tell based based on some characteristic of the pallet, it was 1 or a 0, and that they could tell all kinds of crazy things from this brain that they created out of all the pallets in Harbor Freight. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he told me. Anyways, so I don't, but the thing about Harbor Freight Tool is that they sell tools and you can buy them. And I think that I bet you 3 out of 4 tools that they sell never ever get used. Because I think what happens is people, you can afford to buy the tool, but you don't have the knowledge to use the tool. I don't think everybody could get this working, the tabbing working like what we were doing yesterday. But the problem we were dealing with is if I tab in, see, that's nice, and I hit enter, and it just automatically fires off the first item. Now, that we had other problems that we fixed yesterday, but this was the last problem, and I ran out of time before I had a chance to fix it. It was because I was jabbering on like I am right now. So we are at 8:18, and I don't usually get this because, like, I use ChatGPT at my job a lot, but I don't log in, so they can't turn. And I have to be really, really careful on that one because I don't want to put any of our code into it. So, like, I will copy and paste this code into ChatGPT here, but I will not do that at work. But the last thing we talked about is solution: prevent the enter key from reaching the menu. Goal: when hitting enter. Okay, also implement keyboard actions. When I hit the enter to open the menu, it also executes the enter on the menu item, but I don't want it to execute. But I don't want it to execute on the menu item. I just want it to open the menu item. And it says this is a classic issue when using the enter key to both open that menu and trigger a focused menu item because the enter event bubbles and is handled twice, once by the button and once by the menu item. And see, I've always thought, so my menu item is inside of the menu, and I thought the bubbling went up, and I clicked on the outer one, so does bubbling go down as well? Toggle menu should open. Should not be triggered. Stop propagation. Okay, so basically so I being super curious. So I thought, so this seems to indicate that bubbling can go down the DOM tree. Is that correct? Question mark. I love you too, Rat. In your case, is when you press the toggle, the Angular's material. Love you, Rat. Now focused. That is just so weird. That doesn't make any sense. As we did. So I kind of want to see the visual flow chart, or okay, but I have a question too. Because I want to know, like, so, well, I guess they said basically that it's still there. So I just want to see what this is. I'm just curious. I've never seen this. I want to see my visual flow chart and code Santa box. Wow. Yeah, I think this must be. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. So anyways, let's go all the way back up here. So they're saying that all I need to do is add an event to my key down enter of the menu. So right here, now I don't have any. I don't have an event on add. Well, so in these we're passing it in, but the menu trigger, and I think the menu trigger was needed to. I don't know, but let's go ahead and just add our dollar enter. One thing I've never understood is why it's dollar enter, and I never even noticed it until it's not enter, it's event. I never even noticed it until like a junior developer asked me one day. He's like, why is it the dollar sign there? And I was just like, I have no idea. I made up like three things, and then finally I had to say, you know what? I have no idea. I actually don't have a clue. I guess it's just part of their Angular templating language. And then, so this is show menu. So in show menu, we want to add. So I guess I'm glad we did this. I was like, when we set that up, I was like, I don't know, there's probably going to be some reason I need to use this. And then I guess I just want to copy this. And see if that's it. Maybe I will also need to do the same, like this trigger open and close menu thing too. But we'll just do what we do at first. So like if this works, I mean, I've literally gone from something that would have taken me 40 hours to something that took me like 15 minutes, fairly unfocused. Nah, it didn't work. Vent. So I don't know what to do at this point. Okay, so that didn't work at all. Oh wait, maybe I need to do this. And I guess I want the comments too, so let's go ahead and try that. See, did our image ever come? No. Well, I will remember not to ask for that next time. Nope, it still did it. So let's see, in their example, he passes the menu trigger, but well, menu trigger for menu. So he still does that. Oh, maybe that's the issue. I never used this Angular reference variable. Maybe that's the problem. So I wonder over here if I was supposed to add a view child and stuff. So now I regret asking for the image. I wish they had like a way to cancel this. Yeah, it still did it. Okay, and so now let's try the next thing that it's saying. It's saying to do this. Now oh, okay, map menu trigger. So let's add this. Menu trigger. See, it's weird. I wonder why it knows where this name comes from. See, this is so mysterious to me. I don't understand that. I don't like it either. Like when things are like mysterious. But I do think I may have asked another earlier question that might have. Maybe it was supposed to move me in this direction, and I didn't move in that direction. And then trigger, menu trigger. I would like to circle back around and get rid of this and see if this all works. It looks like I need to bring in this. There we go. Angular Material menu. So this is the strong typing for menu trigger. And then I guess we are purposely opening it. We have control over when we open it and close it. And then, wait, do we still have an error down here? Oh. Looks like we have an issue here. And yeah, I get this all the time because I didn't hit save. I'm just going to reload, hit tab, enter. It still did it. And not only that, but then it closed it on top of that. And I think it's probably because I needed to remove this. Yeah, because we've definitely lost. Well, no. Yeah, see, now it's opening and closing. Whereas before, when we were doing the open and close, what if I remove this? That's still, it's upset because Control Z. Trigger menu. Okay, so what if I remove both of these? Oh, so that is what created this variable name for this. Okay, so all right, let's see if our image ever came in. All right, so can I still ask questions? Okay, so after I made the changes, my menu opens and then closes. Opens, executes the first menu item, and then closes, which is pretty much the opposite. You must prevent Angular focusing on the first immediately before the enter event finishes, which is like, I think sort of a problem. So now we have to do our set timeout so that it doesn't all happen. So I do have the event stop propagation. I don't know. Yeah, all my joy, all my hopes of it being so simple. And I guess we probably need the same thing on the, well, who knows if we need it on the close or not. Do they show the do action? So it's kind of funny because this set timeout really triggers a lot of people. They just don't like it. And it's just like, no fun. Yeah, so that didn't fix anything. I just don't even know. So I don't think I have the problem if I don't do the menu option. I mean, I have the problem with it, but it stays open, but it still runs. Now, maybe I can like set a variable up here. So, but obviously, I've given up on this. I've given up on ChatGPT helping me with this. Oh, it looks like it did cancel the building of the image. So I think I may be able to create a component level variable. Let's see what our time is. We're good. So by default is open is false, right? So if I get this add viz when is open is equal to false, so I'll say so I only want to do this if it's open. So if that thing gets clicked and it's open, then we want to do this. But otherwise, if it gets clicked, then we'll say is open. So the first time it gets clicked, is open is equal to true. Now, I don't think this is going to work after the first time, so we're going to have to add a little bit more code on the, we'll probably have to add some sort of code on whenever it gets closed to reset the is open to false. But let's just see if it works out of the gate. And man, I can't tell you how much harder this would be if this was already a fully fleshed out application. Okay, so then that works. Now what if I hit enter? Did I just hit it twice? Oh, I probably need to... No. And I guess we don't need this here if we're going to do that there. I do think we need to stop the propagation. And then I guess we'll do this event prevent default. I don't know why it's getting called twice. Oh. Why are you calling twice? I think it's because, I guess it's, okay, let's just try this. I don't know if that's going to work or not. It's just a stab in the dark. Nope. Okay. So let's add a console log here. Console.log. You know, I have these every time I've ever worked on this. I've every time I've ever worked on this, I've had. See, I'm wondering if an event's getting called on the. Let's see. So we have this map like on multiple. This icon. I think there's an icon in here. No, there's no icon. I don't know why that's getting called twice. And then actually, let's call up here. Okay, so this is adviz. And what I really don't like about this is that this definitely has the fill for like something that will break in the future, like if the browser, you know, after a browser thing. But this always is a big pain in the butt, and it gets nothing but to be a bigger pain in the butt as time goes by. So I definitely want to get this fixed now. Okay, so show menu got called, and then add viz got called. And then add viz should have set is open to false at this point. Or to true. So now we're true. And then enter. And so now add viz got called twice. Now what happens if I set is open to false here right after we add the viz? So is open would definitely be a bad name. False. It might even be better to have two things just for readability, like another one that just says already created or something. And just always assume we're going to get two. Now, if we ever don't get two, then we'll end up with a problem. Yeah, so now we fixed the problem because that. Now the problem is okay, what happens if I don't use the keyboard? Yeah, see. Now, what matters is, okay, did we call it from the keyboard or the key? And I always end up having a different function for click every time. And now I know why. And I don't remember it because like I don't ever stop and talk. I know that the next answer is to create a different function for click, adviz click versus adviz key. And then if key is being used, then, you know, I know that it's going to end up being called twice for some reason. Okay, so but I guess we could learn. This is a learning opportunity. See, in the past, I know a simple workaround fix for this, which, like, if I was under the gun, I would be like, oh crap, I got to fix this. I got to figure, I know a fix for this. I'm just going to go with it. I don't care if I understand it or not. Well, now I want to understand. Okay. Use the keyboard to execute event, I get the menu event, menu item event, I get 2 calls. But with the mouse, I get 1 call. So I have seen this problem a ton of times. Never took the time to understand what the problem is. This time, now I have an opportunity to take to understand what the problem is. I know a fix for this problem, but I don't understand the problem. So that's what this is all about. And I think that's super important. By the browser, which means so there's the debouncing, so that's the adding a 1 millisecond, and that is a solution, but man, you just end up getting digger and digger. Fix 2. So then this is kind of basically the solution I came. So this is a Angular Material Quirk. Did not know that. It's good to know that. Okay, so, and this is, I don't know, let me know. So I'm already doing stop propagation, and that did not work here. All right, so, and then it's like, so it seems like let's create a different handler for key strokes and clicks. Yeah. So my solution is the correct solution, which makes me feel good, in that, I've come down, this is a solution I've come up with in the past, and it works. And basically, it mitigates a specific Angular Material Quirk. And that's all it was. Now, I did learn too, but, so that's good. So that's all good. Let's see, where are we at? 8:45. So I'm going to let that sink in. This is a great time to stop for me, just because this is sort of a nightmare scenario that I've had to deal with in the past. Now one thing that makes me happy is that I've never ever, like, I have done this where I do like click handlers versus key up handlers, and whatever brand of different human mental processing sort of triggers the people who do PRs. That never seems to bother them. They seem to love that, actually. They seem to prefer the, okay, when you click, you're going to go through this. But basically, I'm going to think through it through the night, because I do want I do want this to kind of settle in. But they'll be like, add viz will literally just add a visualization. That's all it's going to do. It's going to call this UI service add viz. And then there's going to be keyboard keyboard handler, and then something like that. And then that will check to see if it's already been previously created or not, and check to see if it was already open or not, and kind of handle all that kind of thing. And then there'll be the click, which will be the one that will literally just call adviz, and that'll just work. And this is another one of those things that I definitely want to, I'm hoping that I can build tests into the end-to-end testing, because this freaking breaks all the time. Like, it will, people will make little changes in the DOM or some little change in it, and it breaks, and it's could be broken for weeks before somebody with a keyboard notices it, or if the tester always uses the keyboard, the someone with the mouse tests it and it breaks, uses it and it breaks, and it's just like one of those things that is just constantly like, oh, I need to make a small styling change and now it's broken. Oh, I need to add an icon and now it's calling twice. This is like logic that breaks all the time, and so it's super important. This is one of those things that in the past I've always been like, man, it sure would be nice to have end-to-end testing that that ensures that we don't lose that catches at any time this piece of functionality gets broken. So, anyways, the solution. Well, I don't think. I think we're back to not needing this. So I'm just going to comment that out. And then hope that let me just try this. Okay, so that's all working perfectly, but you have to click twice to get a. So again, just to sum up, the idea is that there's going to be an event handler that handles the keyboard that will kind of do all this sort of logic, checking to see if it was already open, checking to see if this is the second click. Let me add that. Is already is processed, is previously processed. It's false. And then we'll just say that'll handle, sort of check these two things and then reset these variables as necessary. So basically we say and then we'll have add click. And that'll be what we do tomorrow. And like I said, this, for me, I've had a lot of experience. This has been a tried and true solution that has worked for me in the past. And now I sort of understand why it's necessary, and I understand why it's not like sort of commonly like something that I've run into, like it's like something I only ran into after I started using Angular Material. Now, again, there's a very, very good chance that the folks that work on Angular Material will fix this in the future, which may very well likely break this for my workaround for this, and that's going to be a bummer. And that will be like one of the huge benefits to the end-to-end testing is when I do an upgrade, if suddenly, because I think the end-to-end testing, I can say, click in here and check to see if there's only one. Reload the page. Click in here and check, enter in there and see that there's only one, or see that there is one and that there's only one, and stuff like that. So I can have all these sort of, because this, I think, is one of those things that's like 100% chance at some point the Angular Material people will sort of get this thing squared away. And when they get this thing squared away, it's very likely to make this code really, I guess, what you'd call squirrely. Anyways, everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy coding. Bye.